Hello and welcome to another Retro Crazy. It's another Sinclair Spectrum video, this time the Spectrum Plus, which was released as a successor to the standard 48K Spectrum in 1984. It still uses the 48K motherboard, but it gives it this sort of like QL style case with a proper keyboard and the introduction of a reset switch tucked away down here. You can still see everything we expect to see: your power supply, your user port, mic ear and TV. And because it uses a standard 48K motherboard, you can of course swap this out, so on and so forth. It came with two power supplies, the aerial lead and the step-by-step programming the ZTX Spectrum. Now this all came off of Gumtree from a user called David. Thank you very much, David. So I'm going to look at getting this back up and running. I'm not going to do both power supplies on this video. I'm going to pop this one to the side. I'm going to just refurbish the single one at the moment. I think you've seen enough refurbishing of these, to be honest. So let's pop all this to the side, and I'm going to start with the power supply. So we're going to start with the power supply, but one thing I did forget, it actually came with its original user guide as well. So that's nice to have. Now as far as the power supply is concerned, I'm going to clean up the plug. The cables are not too bad, they'll just need a light wipe down. I am going to be ditching these. I am not a fan of these. This one's already started to perish. It's breaking up. You can see the sides aren't that great. I can feel the surface. It's starting to degrade. I don't like using these. In my own collection I don't use them at all. I just bin them. Instead I use these. These are Velcro or hook and loop. These ones should be genuine Velcro. This is the better ones where they are all one piece with all molded together. You do get other ones where the two halves are glued, a bit cheaper, and you get them in various lengths. Now what I will do is show you how to use them. I get a nice wrap position where I'm happy, wrap up the cable until I'm happy, and I'll do this just now so that it's not in the way while I'm working. And I'll just take one of these. The end goes through the hole and then pull them tight. Once it's tight, wrap it round itself and you're done. Much neater, fully reusable. I'll do the same with this, which will allow me to keep all this out of the way while I'm working. So with that done, let's pop open the power supply. This is the 1400 model. So let's pop it open and see what we see. So with that dismantled, the casings can be cleaned up in some hot soapy water, and we need to replace this. Very basic system. What looks like a bridge rectifier tucked away here, and the single capacitor. Now what they've done is they've mounted this directly onto the circuit board. I mean, cost cutting to the extreme. What it does mean is it's more awkward to actually get to the solder points to desolder them. Now what I can do is cut the legs, heat, remove. When it comes to resoldering, well, kind of possible, but awkward. Yeah, not done in the easiest way. So this is the exact reason you should always check the plug, especially on a UK one, because that is almost all the way out. That, if it had fallen out inside the plug while it was on, yeah, we don't want metal falling about inside here. So it should always be fully in and tightened. That way it can't come out. Now, while it's not ideal, that one's fine, nice straight line. This one has been too long, but it's just been shoved in anyway. But a 5 amp fuse, so I'm going to pop that out and see if I've got a 3 amp to drop in instead. So with the fuse replaced and everything rebuilt, let's see what this is putting out. So exactly where we expect it to be, 14 volts approximately. That's about normal for these power supplies, even though they're rated at 9 volts. You have to take off some for load, but the 7805 will bring it down to 5 volts. With this done, we can now put this power supply to the side and have a look at the main system. So let's move on to the Spectrum itself. And this warranty seal has never ever been broken. Shame to take it apart now, but it needs recapped before I'm even going to remotely power it on. So let's crack on and get this apart. So with that all apart, we've got a voltage regulator here to replace, 7805, and lots and lots of caps. So guess what's next? So with the board all recapped, we can now test some of the points, make sure we're getting the readings we're supposed to get. Now that we're ready, let's get some checks done. So that's correct, correct, yep, that's fine, fine, okay. Okay, TR4 is not registering correctly, so I'm going to order up a replacement and we'll swap that out. That's the old transistor out. I've got a replacement, and I should say before I go any further, yes, I realised that I was testing using the wrong mode on the multimeter. I did check again, unfortunately it was off camera, using the diode test, and confirmed that that transistor was faulty, so I have ordered up some replacements. So these came from retroleum.co.uk, and here we have the listing. Replaces the TR4, which is what this is. Let's marked on the board, TR4. This is a revision 4S board, and it specifically says, can replace the C2236A on revision 4S boards, but you must use the alternative pads provided to the right and fit this particular transistor with the flat side on the left. So based on all that, here are the original pad points. Here are the alternative ones. So I'll be using these, which I've already cleared. And the transistor has a flat and a curved surface to the rear. So it'll be fitted with the flat pointing to the left. So with that done, let's pop this to the side, because hopefully that's all we'll be doing. We'll find out shortly if the system is actually working, but I'm going to pop this to the side and bring up the next part. So our final piece of the puzzle is going to be the keyboard. It needs a good clean. The keys are distinctly not white, and while the membrane looks okay, I may just take the edge off. I do have a spare membrane just in case. This one may work, time will tell. But first, I've got a whole bunch of screws to remove to get this keyboard out. And there we have it, that's all the keycaps off. Once I got the first keycap off, really I was only using this to lift, and then a lot of the keycaps just lifted off with a good pull. However, we can see lots of areas that need a good clean, and seeing as I'm going to have to wash the shell anyway and give it a good scrub, let's all do that together. I am also going to clean this, because this is the same. It's got past the plungers and it's pulling off lumps of fluff and debris. So yeah, we'll give everything a good clean. So I'll see you shortly once this is all, well, as clean as it's going to get. Well, that's it all back together. It looks so much better. It's not white, but then it's faded over time. So what's left to do? Let's plug it in and find out what happens. So here we are at testing. One ZX Spectrum Plus refurbished, hopefully. Refurbished power supply, and I've dug out my TZduino and also the on-off switch, which I showed you how to make in a previous video. So let's first of all get the telly on, and let's power it on and see what happens. So no pops or bangs. Let's see if it needs tuned. Yep, we're around there. Picture's not the greatest, but I've come to expect that on an LCD using standard RF. So, first thing we're going to do is check the keyboard. Okay, keyboard's fully functional, so the nice thing is I don't need to replace the membrane in this. Yeah, it really doesn't like this. This is a cable I've never used before. Unfortunately, the rest of my cables for RF are in storage. This is an untested one, and I'm wondering if this is causing the problems. But let's see what happens if we try and load a game. Well, something's loaded. And I'd say that's a successful load. System's running, doing exactly what it's supposed to, sounds good and clear. Just that screen. I don't have another Spectrum Plus, so unfortunately this one will be remaining as is because I try and keep them original. If I manage to pick up another one, I'll do a composite mod on it. Oh dearie me. Yeah, I never said I was good at this. So there we go, another successful restoration. And this time I'll just let it go. So thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next Retro Crazy.